Hi everyone, good evening my darlings. So glad to be here with you tonight. I'm going to forewarn you. I have two little 6-year-olds downstairs right now. So if you hear some noise or a random squeal or what have you, that is them. My neighbor is actually a translator, and she got called to the emergency room because she's Chinese, and she was called to the emergency room because there was a Chinese person who she needed to translate for, and this is what she does. This is like her career, and so she's like, I gotta go right now. I gotta go to work. Is there any way you can watch my son for me? And her son and my son are like best friends, and so I was like, yeah, of course, bring him over. And so they're gonna have a sleepover. And so they are having the best time right now. They're so excited. So again, I just want to forewarn you, they are downstairs. The door's closed, but you never know. You may hear like a random, they're watching TV, playing video games, so playing with toys. You might hear a random squeal or scream or laughs of joy or whatever. So I'm just letting you know in advance what's going on, all right? So let's get into what we're here for today. So tonight, we are going to talk about heat protectants. And y'all, and I've talked to you guys about this before, there are so many products that have names on them that are buzzwords and things that just get our attention, and we're like, oh yeah, I need to protect my hair because I'm about to use a flat iron or a blow dryer, or if you old school, a hot comb or what have you, and I want to make sure my hair is protected, right? And so it's like, let me go get this heat protectant, right? But then I'm here to tell you that it's really not protecting much of anything. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But before we get into that, let's talk about why heat can be not so great. Now, I will say that I am not a heat Nazi or anything like that. Like, I'm not like, never put heat on your hair, never, straighten it. I'm not that person, because I definitely straighten my hair probably about about 2 to 4 times a year myself. And I feel like if you have hair, hey you guys, hi everybody. If you have hair, if you're lucky enough to have hair on your head, you should have fun with it. So there's no reason that you should not straighten your hair if you so choose to. It is important to, however, understand that your hair, as we've discussed in several weeks before, your hair does not have any blood vessels or veins or any sort of things running through it that will help it repair itself if it gets damaged. The problem with heat damage is that you usually don't know what tolerance your hair has for heat until it's damaged. So it's very important to kind of be sparing with heat, because someone who, for example, myself, my hair can take quite a bit of heat within a month's time. However, my mother, if she puts heat on her hair more than once a month, she's got damage. You know what I mean? So it varies from person to person. It has nothing to do with if you have a coarser hair texture, if you have a finer hair texture, or what have you. Those things do come into play from time to time, but for the most part, it can vary from person to person, and you never really know what your hair's heat tolerance is until it's too late. And at that point, again, as we've discussed, you cannot fix or repair damaged hair. It has to be either cut off altogether, the damaged part, or you can transition little by little, okay? So just to kind of get that that caveat on point before we get started, all right? So be very, very sparing when you are using heat. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the types of heat that we're going to discuss. There are direct heat sources, and then there's the indirect heat sources. Indirect heat is pretty much okay. Like, indirect heat literally can be the sun, right? The sun beating down on your hair. You cannot stop the sun from beating down on your hair. It is perfectly fine for the sun to beat down on your hair, right? It's fine. No problems. A hooded dryer is considered indirect heat. These are sources of heat that are reaching your hair, but you are not actually touching your hair with any sort of tool in order for that heat to touch your hair. Does that make sense? Now, direct heat sources are what we're talking about tonight. So things like flat irons or blow dryers. Blow dryers when you're actually using the comb with it, when you're kind of combing through your hair with the blow dryer. Also, again, if you're like super old school and you got the hot comb on the stove, that's an example of a direct heat source, okay? So when direct heat is touching your hair, that is when damage can occur. Again, you're really not going to get too much damage from a hooded dryer because it's not directly touching your hair. You're not going to get damage from the sun touching your hair either, or the sun's rays touching your hair either, okay? So now that we've got these things together and we understand what we're talking about and where we're going here, let's talk about heat protectants, all right? Again, it's very, very, very important for you to protect your hair when you are using heat, direct heat. All right, so again, remember what we're talking about when we're saying direct heat versus non-direct heat. It's very vital that you protect your hair when you are using direct heat. Again, flat irons, hot combs, blow dryers, what have you. All right, even curling wands, curling irons, all those sorts of things. Anything that has heat that touches your hair directly can be problematic. It can cause heat damage in the sense of your hair actually not reverting back to its curly state again. All right. And it cannot be repaired, as we talked about 2 weeks ago. If you missed that, make sure you check out the Real Hair Revelations here in the group and search for that one. Your hair cannot be repaired once it is damaged. I don't care what the bottle says. I don't care what promises they tell you. There is no possible way. This is purely science, and it boggles my mind how people try to argue with science. Like, this is like molecules and matter and molecular structures. Like, there's no argument here. These are facts, right? Your hair cannot be repaired. They will try to sell you something that says that it can be repaired, but what happens is that it temporarily binds the hair together, and then once you wash your hair, all that stuff rinses out, okay? Now, again, it's really, really important that you protect your hair. But the problem is that, let me backtrack. It's important that you protect your hair because heat can be so damaging. Not only can it damage your hair if you use it, if you go too hot or if you use too much of it, but heat can also cause, heat is drying in general. Direct heat onto your hair is very, very drying. So when you use heat too often or too much of it at one time, you'll find that your hair is more prone to breakage. You'll find that your hair dries out really quickly. You'll find that your hair, and let me backtrack a little bit, your hair will dry out faster. What that means when your hair gets drier, dryness is the root of all our like natural hair issues that we hate, right? Breakage, brittleness, shedding, what else? Split ends, all those things come from dryness. So that's why it's so important for naturals who have naturally dry hair to keep their hair hydrated and moisturized all the time. And I've been preaching this to you guys over and over and over. Don't wait till your hair feels bone dry to start trying to moisturize it. Keep it moisturized ongoingly, and you don't have to worry about breakage and brittleness and split ends and all that stuff. Heat, direct heat, exacerbates. I know it's a big $10 word, right? Heat enhances is probably a more clear term. Heat enhances dryness, right? Direct heat enhances dryness. So if you've already got naturally dry hair, adding heat to your hair is going to cause it to be drier than it already is, okay? Again, I'm not saying don't use heat. I'm just saying be sparing with it for these reasons. Now, for this reason, this is why you want to make sure you are using a heat protectant. Now, what heat protectants are supposed to do is they are supposed to kind of cover your hair. Heat protectants are supposed to cover your hair strand with a protective source so that it works as like a barrier between your hair. I'm sorry, this light is like super bright, y'all. Ugh. I look super blown out. What's going on? Hang on. I gotta fix this because sheesh. I don't know what just happened. Okay, anyway. It protects your hair and forms a barrier between the heat source, the direct heat source, and your hair. So think about like this is your hair, right? My hand is your hair. And then this here piece of paper, all right, like impromptu prompts, is the heat protectant. And then this is the flat iron, blow dryer, hot tool, whatever you've got and that you're using on top of that, right? So this right here is supposed to protect your hair. And that's actually what most of them do, right? So in that sense, they're doing what they're supposed to do. However, a huge issue, and I'm sorry, I'm still playing with this lighting because I don't know what happened, but it got real horrible. What happens is that those heat protectants, while they are doing what they say that they should be doing, what you don't know is they include a lot of really drying alcohols. And we know, we talked about alcohols a couple weeks ago. Generally, we know that alcohols are drying unless you are using the ones that I discussed a few weeks ago, which are cetyl, ceteryl, stearyl alcohol, butyl alcohol. Those are all coconut-derived alcohols that are actually humectants, meaning that they draw moisture to your hair. If it's not those, all the other alcohols are bad for you. They're all drying. They're all made in a lab. In fact, someone even in the group posted a couple days ago that there are companies that are putting literally rubbing alcohol into your hair products. Isopropyl alcohol is a rubbing alcohol. You can get it at the dollar store, right? That is found in a lot of hair products. That same alcohol is in most heat protectants. So here's the thing. If you know that your hair requires moisture, right? You know that your hair requires moisture because you have naturally dry hair. And putting the heat protectant on it is supposed to protect your hair from the heat, yet it has drying alcohols in it which dry your hair out after you're done with the heat. So not only are you using something on your hair, a heat tool, that is naturally more drying to your hair and has the potential to cause your hair to break and split and all that sort of stuff. But now you've got an alcohol that's lingering in your hair because you're not washing this out, right? It's lingering in your hair, and day in and day out until you actually do your wash day, this is sitting in your hair, sucking the dryness out, sucking the moisture out of your hair, which is again causing more brittleness and breakage and dryness and split ends and all those things that we hate, right? Why? Why are we putting these things? Why are they putting these things in the heat protectants? I don't understand it. It's not really necessary. There are products out there that have heat protectants that don't include such drying alcohols, but there are a lot of them. Most of them, in fact, are chock full of these very drying alcohols. And if you look at the ingredient list, you will oftentimes find several of these. There won't just be one or two. There'll be like 4 or 5 different alcohols in these heat protectants, okay? So when you are when you are doing what you think that you're supposed to do and you have the best of intentions in protecting your hair, it is not uncommon for people who utilize heat tools often to find that their hair is, although it, is maybe straight and maybe pretty, but it's not retaining length. When your hair is breaking constantly, or when your hair is dry, it's breaking constantly and you cannot retain length. And what people tend to think that means that their hair is not growing. That's not true at all. Your hair is always growing unless you have some sort of scalp condition like alopecia or seborrheic dermatitis or something like that. In general, your hair is always growing. The problem is that for a lot of us, our hair is breaking as fast as it's growing, and so you're not actually seeing the length. So it seems like it's at a stagnant place. If your hair has been at shoulder length or at neck length or wherever for a while, that is more than likely what's going on. It's not that your hair's not growing, it's that it is breaking as fast as it's growing, so you're not noticing the length retention. Using these sorts of heat protectants will, I'm about to say exacerbate again. I don't know why I say exacerbate a lot. I don't even know where I learned that word. Anyway, using heat protectants a lot will cause this to continue over and over and over, and it'll just be a cycle, and it'll be really frustrating. You'll be like, what am I doing? I'm doing all the right things, blah, blah, blah. But it's the fact that you're trying to use something with the best of intentions that's actually very damaging for your hair. All right, so you want to stay away from those things. And as we discussed when I first started doing the Real Hair Revelation videos, I started out teaching you guys about ingredients. And we talked about alcohols, we talked about parabens, we talked about sulfates. All these things are so vital to know, because when you go to the store and you're amongst that aisle with all the hair products, and you've got to figure out what to get and what to spend your money on, your hard-earned money, you are hoping on a wing and a prayer that you're going to get it home and you're actually going to like it. But usually what ends up happening is you get it home, you try it, it sucks, it goes into that drawer. I call it the drawer of shame. It goes into that drawer and you try to gift it to your friend whenever they come over just to get out of your house. Right, so the way you can save a ton of money is by knowing what these ingredients do. So if you are looking for a heat protectant and you see an alcohol on there and that alcohol is not cetyl alcohol, sterile alcohol, ceteryl alcohol, or butyl alcohol, or a alcohol that is derived from coconuts or from sort of fruit that is naturally occurring, that means that that alcohol is made in a lab. I don't care if they tell you on the label that it's all natural. I don't care if they tell you that it's organic. I don't care what they tell you, because the front of that label, as I've told you guys before, the front of the label is 99% marketing. So they are telling you everything that you want to hear. And again, all marketing isn't bad, right? But they're telling you everything you want to hear. They're using all the buzzwords. They're using everything that sounds good to get you to purchase. What you need to do before you leave, before you spend your money on that product, turn it around before you leave the store. Make sure you don't see any of those bad alcohols in there that I've discussed, okay? And then go ahead and spend your money, because you have a much better chance of the product working for you and you actually liking it, regardless of what brand it is, all right? When you get home, all right? So if you are looking for a heat protectant that will protect your hair from the heat but doesn't have those drying alcohols in it, we have one at Naturalicious, of course. It is the Moisture Infusion Styling Cream. It is a styling cream, it's a heat protectant, and it's a moisturizer all in one product. So styling cream, heat protectant, and moisturizer. So the nice thing about it is that it's a 3-in-1. You get 3 bangs for $1, so to speak, if that made any sense. But this is the product. If you can see it, that's the product right there. My light is like blinding it out. What's going on today with my light? I don't know. Anyway, it's step 2 in the line. So if you are here in the group, you more than likely already know about the products. If you're watching this outside of the group, then you may or may not know about the products. But it's called step 2. It's the Moisture Infusion Styling Cream. And it actually works really well as a heat protectant. The thing I love about it so much is that you use it one time for all those different things. And you don't have to keep applying it, right? So let's say I was going to straighten my hair right now. I would, let's say I washed my hair and I put the product on to moisturize my hair. Well, in the process of moisturizing my hair, I'm also, that's also going to serve as my heat protectant. I don't have to add another heat protectant on top of that, or I don't have to add the same product again as a heat protectant. Once I do it with the intention of moisturizing my hair, I've already prepared it to be the heat protectant. At that point, I would then take my flat iron, my blow dryer, whatever I'm going to use, and I would go ahead and blow dry my hair out, or flat iron, or what have you. You don't have to add it on again. So it's nice because it's just one product. You don't have to have a whole bunch of different products cluttering up your sink or your bathroom. One thing gets it all done. And then let's say after that you decided that you wanted to do a really cute Bantu knot out. I like to do my Bantu knot outs when I have my hair blown out. I really, really like how they look in that way. I don't have to add more products. I've already added enough. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it does it all at one time. And so that obviously saves you money. It saves you time. And it just makes life really simple and easy. It doesn't have to be so complicated. So I hope that makes sense and helps you guys. As always, leave your comments below. Thank you, Teresa. Teresa says it smells good. It does smell good. It smells really, really good, I have to admit. But I hope this has been helpful for you. I know some of you are like, I don't even use heat on my hair. I don't need that. You know, you be grabbing the air. I don't use heat. I don't need that. I don't even know why I'm watching this video. But you may not be using heat right now, but you may in the future, right? Or if you are a mom to a little girl, she may want to wear her hair straight to school one day or whatever, and she may want to have her hair blown out. Or if you're a grandma to a little girl, same thing, right? And if none of that applies to you, I guarantee you that you know somebody who does, right? So pass this information along to your girls, to your family members, to your mom, to your sister, to your homegirls, or what have you, and make sure that we share the love. Because again, my whole objective is to empower you guys so that when you go to the store and you're spending money, you know what you're getting into. I find it boggles my mind that in this day and age, in 2017, when all these beautiful women are going natural, and there's so many products available on the market, literally, like you go through an aisle, it's just like a mecca of like black hair products. You go there, and there's so much information on the web, like literally every corner of the web, there you just type in something about whatever issue you're having, and you can find it, right? But we still don't know what the heck to do with our hair. right? We're still confused. We're still frustrated. We're still trying to figure it out. We're still being product junkies, but not necessarily intentionally. We're product junkies by default because we haven't yet found what works. And the reason that a lot of us haven't found what works is because we are going to a lot of different sources who are giving expert information, but they're not actually experts. They have good intentions, but they're not experts. So they're speaking from experience, not really from a background of fact or science or what have you. And they mean well, but they're a lot of times it's not totally correct, or it's just misinformation, or it's incomplete information. And so my goal is to be that source that you can go to, that you know what the real is, you know. So I hope that these videos are always useful and helpful for you guys. So again, even if this particular one, because I know a lot of people will say, oh, I don't use heat on my hair. Even if this particular one isn't beneficial for you or isn't applicable to you, there is surely someone in your life who it is applicable to. So do me a favor and pass that information along to them, and invite them to join the group in the Naturalicious Nation, and they can get all the real hair revelations. Thanks guys for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Leave your comments below. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.